Welcome to datascience.show, the podcast where data science meets executive leadership. We talk with top AI and analytics thought leaders about turning data into real business impact. If you're a C-level leader or data expert shaping the future, you're in the right place.
Welcome to datascience.show. I'm Mirko. Today, we're doing something deliberately practical. How to treat data outputs as real products inside your company, priced, funded, and governed so they actually sustain themselves instead of becoming orphaned pilots. Picture this, a forecasting model that predicted inventory more accurately than anyone expected. But 6 months later, it's offline because the business won't pay for the extra compute and support. The model wasn't the failure, the economics were. That's the problem we'll fix today. Speaking directly to CEOs, CFOs, CDOs, and product leaders, if you want predictable ROI from AI, you must design the economics, not just the roadmap.
Why this matters now. Many organizations have moved past proof-of-concept fatigue. The question for leaders is no longer can we build models, it's can we sustain them and scale their value. I've advised platform teams and executive boards where this exact dynamic plays out. Models get built, product teams love them, but funding evaporates because it looks like engineering overhead. I've seen the funding conversation saved by reframing a data output as a prompt with customers, SLAs, and a simple internal pricing model. I'm going to walk you through that playbook, pricing patterns, funding options, governance, and a 30-90-day pilot plan you can use immediately.
Let's start with the fundamentals, pricing. There are 4 internal pricing patterns I see again and again. Each one signals different enterprise expectations and trade-offs. Ask, what behavior do you want to encourage? How visible do you need cost and value to be?
First, cost recovery. This is straightforward. Teams pay back the platform for actual consumption, compute, storage, API calls. Pros, simple, equitable, and easy to implement. Cons, it hides downstream business value and encourages minimal usage. If your primary goal is to control run costs, cost recovery works. If your goal is adoption and value capture, cost recovery alone is insufficient.
Second, value-based pricing. Here, you charge the business relative to the measurable value delivered, a percentage of realized margin uplift or cost savings, or a per-unit fee tied to business impact. Pros, aligns incentives, drives accountability. Cons, measurement complexity and negotiation overhead. Use value-based pricing when impact attribution is reliable and you have agreement on the measurement framework. Third, showback. This is not a charge, it's visibility. You surface the full cost and potential value of a data product on business unit reports. Pros, transparency without hard billing. It sparks conversations. Cons, it can create finger-pointing and be ignored if there's no follow-up funding mechanism. Showback is excellent as a first step to create awareness.
Fourth, subscription or internal marketplace pricing. Business units buy access to data products with predictable, recurring charges. Pros, drives product management discipline and predictability. Cons, you must maintain SLAs and product experience. Subscription models work when you want consistent funding and clear ownership over product lifecycle.
How do you pick? Simple rule of thumb. If the product's value is easy to measure and directly affects margin, favor value-based. If you need adoption and low friction, start with subsidized subscriptions or showback. If cost control is the priority, use cost recovery. And always plan a path. Showback to subscription to value-based as the product matures.
Next, funding and investment models. There are 3 common patterns and 1 hybrid that I recommend for executives to consider. Pattern 1. Central platform budget. The company treats the data platform as strategic infrastructure and funds it centrally. Pros, reduces friction for new products and preserves engineering velocity. Cons,
risk of underpricing, and lack of accountability at the product level. This works when the executive team accepts platform spend as an enabler of multiple product lines.
Pattern 2. Product line funding. Each business unit funds the data product they consume. Pros: accountability and direct alignment to business outcomes. Cons: adoption inertia. Lines may underinvest in shared foundational work. This works when business units have strong P&L ownership and can measure impact.
Pattern 3. Outcome-linked budgets. Tie funding to milestones and outcomes, an initial central subsidy, then a handoff to the business once adoption or ROI thresholds are met. Pros: reduces early friction, forces product-market fit through measurable dates. Cons: requires clear KPIs and governance. I use this pattern often. Subsidize the first 90 days, then trigger a funding decision based on adoption velocity or realized savings. Hybrid approaches combine these patterns: central funding for platform and early-stage pilots, product line funding for scaling, and outcome-linked triggers to transition funding responsibility. The key is explicit rules. Don't leave transitions to informal chats. Executive sponsorship must sign the playbook.
Let's talk incentives and governance, because these are the levers that prevent perverse outcomes. I've seen two common failure modes. Teams optimize for lower internal cost at the expense of customer value, or finance treats data work as a sunk IT cost and withdraws funding. We address both with governance.
Start with ownership. Every data product needs a product owner with a clear charter, KPIs, and escalation rights. Define an SLA that covers availability, latency, and support windows, and pairing that SLA with a simple charge or subscription makes the cost visible. Importantly, publish a cost-to-serve metric so business sponsors understand the marginal cost of additional usage.
Second, avoid perverse incentives by separating billing from reward. If you bill consumption but reward only usage volume, teams might optimize for churn rather than impact. Align incentives. Reward outcomes that the business cares about: customer retention, reduced churn, faster time to market, and link those to funding decisions.
Third, transparency and escalation. Publish billing details and a simple dispute resolution path. Make it easy for a product manager and a finance director to resolve usage disputes without executive mediation. The goal is operational clarity, not new bureaucracy.
Now, a couple of anonymized vignettes so you can see these patterns in practice. Vignette 1. A retail company built a demand forecasting service and initially offered it for free. Adoption was high, but no one stamped the budget. When the platform team asked for funding, business units pushed back. They had never internalized the cost. The fix: they introduced a lightweight subscription fee and a pilot-level subsidy for the first 60 days. The subscription forced business product owners to make a commitment. The subsidy removed adoption friction. Within 3 quarters, the model paid for its operating costs, and the business could measure uplift in inventory turns.
Vignette 2. A payments company used a showback model to surface costs and thought that visibility would be enough. Instead, teams started gaming usage patterns to minimize apparent charges, which reduced downstream value. The governance fix was twofold: introduce a cost-to-serve metric that included business impact, and set an outcome-based KPI that triggered a reallocation of budget when certain thresholds were hit. That combination aligned behavior back to business impact instead of tactical cost avoidance. Leaders need board-ready KPIs. Finance and the board want clarity. Use 3 categories: outcome, adoption, and unit economics. Outcome KPI, ROI per data product, the net financial impact attributed to the product over a reasonable horizon. Adoption KPI, adoption velocity and active consumers. How many business processes or users rely on the product, and how quickly that number is growing. Unit economics, cost to serve and marginal cost per request or per user. Combine these into a 1-page snapshot for the board. If you can't measure impact, don't promise it. Okay, Here's a prioritized 30 90-day rollout you can use as a checklist. Day 0 to 30. Identify one high-impact data product, name the product owner, and run a short workshop to agree on the measurement framework. Implement showback so stakeholders see the cost and usage data.
Day 30-60. Select an initial pricing model, showback plus a staged subsidy, or a low subscription fee. Put a simple SLA in place and draft a funding proposal for the business sponsor. Use the negotiation language I recommend. We propose a 60-day subsidized access to establish adoption. If adoption hits X and impact hits Y, business sponsorship and funding will transition to the product owner.
Day 60 to 90. Review KPIs with finance. Decide the funding transition based on the agreed gates and document the handoff. If gates are not met, define remediation steps or pause funding. The point is disciplined gates, not endless pilots.
I'll be blunt. Pricing and funding sound bureaucratic, but when designed correctly, they remove ambiguity and speed decisions. The risk is real. Pricing that's too heavy will slow innovation. Mitigate that by starting simple. Show back to create visibility, short subsidies to reduce friction, then a clear path to product funding once you see measurable adoption and impact.
Looking forward, in the next 12 to 24 months, I expect more organizations to evolve internal marketplaces where business units can discover, trial, and subscribe to data products. That's powerful, but beware vendor-like complexity. Keep the catalog curated, keep SLAs realistic, and preserve a governance layer that enforces measurement consistency across products. Before we close, 2 actionable things for you to do this week. 1. Pick one existing data capability and run a 30-day showback plus subsidy pilot with a named product owner and one business sponsor. 2. Prepare a one-page board snapshot with ROI, adoption velocity, and cost to serve. Those 2 moves alone convert an opaque capability into something investable. If you want the templates I mentioned, a pricing template, a short funding proposal outline, and an SLA template, we've bundled them for you. Visit us on Spreaker and look for this episode's resources. Use them, iterate quickly, and don't over-engineer the first pass. Final reflection. Turning a model into measurable value requires more than engineering excellence. It requires economics, governance, and clear incentives. Start with visibility, subsidize adoption where it makes sense, and always tie funding transitions to measurable gates. Do that, and you move from one-off models to repeatable, investable data products. Thanks for listening. If this episode was useful, share it with a finance or product leader and try the 30-day pilot. And remember, that's the difference between models and value.
Thanks for listening to datascience.show. If you found value in this episode, subscribe, share it with your network, and join us next time as we explore how data science drives smarter decisions and better business outcomes.